Let's say China.
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 There are no storm movers, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump's statement, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes. Hello, and welcome. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if, on your last day in a job, you do something truly awesome. It's Friday, the 3rd of November 2017. I know, I almost forgot what day it was. It's Friday. How can you forget Friday? And I need to start off with a little bit of housekeeping. I made a mistake, and I know it's very rare and it's very hard for me to admit that. But it has been brought to my attention by a number of listeners that I erroneously claimed a few episodes ago that Abraham Lincoln had slaves, when in fact Abraham Lincoln never owned slaves. And I spoke out of turn, and I suspect I was trying to say Jefferson, but I got so excited in the heat of the moment, Abraham Lincoln came out. And so to Abraham Lincoln and his descendants, I apologize for slandering his good name. Anyway, on from that, because that was actually quite hard for me to do. Donald Trump's Twitter account disappeared last night. If you were on there around about 11 o'clock and you just happened to search for the real Donald Trump, it popped up a little message saying, sorry, that page doesn't exist. When I saw this, I was thrilled. I thought it was a dream. I knew it was a horrible dream, and now we can get back on with life. Unfortunately, 11 minutes later, the account was re-established, and it turns out that an employee whose last day at Twitter was yesterday decided it would be a good way to end his career by deleting the president's account. And from all of us at So This Happened, well done, that person. Well done indeed. And now, for just a moment, I want you to listen to this. Do you hear it? Listen carefully. Yes, that is the sound of the United States of America when Donald Trump is not in the country. The president left today on an 11-day trip to Asia, and, well, if he wants to take more than 11 days, then by all means, be our guest. I don't think many people will object to that. And in a spectacular moment of getting ahead of the story, Alec Baldwin today confessed that he has been very sexist and mistreated women in the past. Now, Alec Baldwin has not been accused of anything yet, but he decided to jump in front of the story, and he released this statement. I certainly have treated women in a very sexist way. I've bullied women. I've overlooked women. I've underestimated women. Not as a rule. From time to time, I've done what a lot of men do, which is when you don't treat women the same way you treat men. Now, of course, as far as confessions go, that one was a little bit on the weak side, because he did include the caveat in there. Well, I've done lots of other men too, obviously, and I've only done it from time to time, not like the other men, but I have done it every once in a while, so I'm just getting this out there. Alec Baldwin then said that he is determined to change in the future, and that from now on he will treat women with respect. And the countdown to the Alec Baldwin sexual assault allegation begins now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, in a case of not necessarily thinking out exactly what you're saying, we have to turn back to none other than Donald Trump. Before he got on the plane to head over to Asia, he made a statement about the New York City terror attacks, and he ended it by saying something really unfortunate, I think. And this might just be my twisted brain, but I'll play the statement and see if you have the same reaction I do.
What we're doing is every time we're attacked from this point forward, and it took place yesterday, we are hitting them 10 times harder. So when we have an animal do an attack like he did the other day on the west side of Manhattan, we are hitting them 10 times harder. They claimed him as a soldier. Good luck. Every time they hit us, we know it's ISIS. We hit them like you folks won't believe. Thank you. I will see you in Pearl Harbor. We're going to Pearl Harbor.
Excuse me. I think this might just be my twisted brain, but Donald Trump just got done with his whole tough guy routine. We're going to hit you 10 times harder. All right, fuck it. Let's go to Pearl Harbor. You see what I'm saying? He talks about hitting someone 10 times harder, and then without taking a breath goes, we're going to Pearl Harbor, as if that's sort of part of the same statement. So it might just be my twisted brain, but does anybody else find that just a little bit funny? No, it's just me, apparently, that he talks about hitting someone 10 times harder and then says, we're going to Pearl Harbor, which is, one of the scenes of one of the worst attacks in America. I think I might be on my own on this one, but it made me chuckle when I heard it. It just seemed really like he hadn't really thought that out at all. Okay, so maybe that is just me, but now I want to move on to a little game I call Do You Know Who Your Daddy Is? And the reason I call this game that is because Ivanka Trump was in Japan today, and she was giving a speech to a hall that was virtually empty if you look at the photographs. They're actually blaming that on some security background check things, but I think it's probably just because it's empty because nobody wanted to hear her. But she opened her speech with this statement.
All too often, our workplace culture fails to treat women with appropriate respect. This takes many forms, including harassment, which can never be tolerated.
We're going to play a wonderful game called Who is My Daddy and What Does He Do?
Yeah, thanks very much, Arnold. And just to remind you who Ivanka Trump's daddy is, just in case you're not sure, he is a man who has been accused by multiple women of sexual harassment and assault. He faces accusations of groping, forced kissing, and walking unannounced into changing areas at beauty pageants. And his name, Ivanka, is Donald J. Trump. So you wonder why there was nobody coming to see you speak today. And it may just have something to do with the fact that you just said something that your dad is all too familiar with is not acceptable and cannot be tolerated. What's that phrase? Oh yes, change begins at home. So maybe, Ivanka, you need to take a good, hard, long look in the mirror, and after you've finished admiring yourself, say, maybe I really should talk to Dad about this, because I look like a bit of a chump going around the world saying women should not be sexually harassed. It's unacceptable. Ignore what my daddy did. That was just... he's the president. It's okay. And now moving on to something that everybody knows, except that is the Trump administration and many of his supporters. Today, a comprehensive review by 13 US federal agencies concluded that the evidence for global warming is stronger than ever, and that more than 90% of it has been caused by humans. Now, this directly contradicts what the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Scott Pruitt, has said when he came out and said that carbon dioxide is not the primary contributor to global warming. Well, Scott, we all knew this before, but now maybe, mate, you can look at this new review and say, shit, I was actually wrong. And perhaps the Energy Secretary, Rick Perry, who yesterday made that ridiculous statement about fossil fuels being linked to sexual assault, might look at that and go, oh, wait a second, so actually they're not good because I still believe they prevent sexual assault, that's probably true, but they also fuck up the world, so, ooh, tricky. But the big question is, will this make any difference at all? And the answer to that is almost certainly no. Just because a new report has come out that says humans are in fact responsible for climate change, this isn't the first report to do that. In fact, since sort of the late 80s, that's what scientists have agreed, that humans are in fact the cause of climate change. So the fact that another report has come out probably won't make much difference to Trump and his fan base. Even though the report says that it is extremely likely, meaning 95 to 100% certainty, that carbon dioxide made from burning of coal, oil and natural gas is indeed the cause of climate change. But I fear the Trump supporters will just be sitting there now going, man, that just sounds like fucking fake news to me. Throw me a bird. And I apologise, Mrs. Andrews, for doing that accent. I know I promised I wouldn't do it, but something made me do it. It was the devil. The devil made me do it. And finally, because it's Friday and I always love to end with a good news story on Friday, so we go in the weekend feeling good, I dug around and I found one that it just really warms your heart. This is a story about a man and a woman called Jean and Brian. We don't know their last names, but there they are. They're an older couple, and Jean is starting to go blind. So Brian, every single week, has been going to the mall with Jean and sitting down at the makeup counter and learning how to apply makeup on Jean's face before she goes completely blind. Now, there's a lovely photo of the two. I'll be honest, he's got a little bit of work to do on the makeup, but you know, this is early days. I hope this is early days, but it's such a lovely story. I love that. He just wants to go there so he can do his wife's makeup when she goes blind and is unable to put it on herself. It's just wonderful. Love it. So there we go. Another lovely story and another week in the books. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a great week. Good conversations as always. And I just want to make note of one thing, and I hate to do this. You know, if you know me, you know I hate to do this, but I feel I should mention it. Doing a show like So This Happens, I love it. I love sitting and chatting with you every single day. It's fantastic. But there are bills to be paid. It's not free to do these kind of things, but I want to keep it free for every single person to listen to. I don't ever want to charge for it. I think that would be wrong. But like I say, there are some bills that need paying. It takes a lot of time, and putting these episodes, even though I love it, don't get me wrong, it's very time consuming. So if you feel like you would like to become part of the So This Happened family, you can do that. We have a Patreon page, and the easiest way to find it is by going to our website, which is sothishappenshow.com, and from there you can click on the donate tab and it will direct you to the Patreon page. You know, if you really love it, if you listen to it every single day, think about it and go, you know what? Yeah, James is worth $1 a month. $10 would be better, but $1 a month's great. You know, no, I'm just kidding. Anything that you would want to give would be absolutely lovely. Anyway, we can continue the conversation on Twitter at So This Happen, or on Facebook if you prefer. And don't forget to tell a friend about the podcast. And if you could please leave a review for me on iTunes, that would be wonderful. It does really help the show out in the ratings, and so more people can listen to us. Anyway, have a great evening and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right, folks, take care. Good night. Bye-bye.